So I'm getting ready to start here on the sprint orienteering course at Haskell Indian Nations University. Punch the clock and punch um, my GPS and grab and look at the map, and I was confused. I had a hard time spotting the start triangle. Kind of wandered along there a bit trying to figure out where the start triangle was. That was a little disappointing. Normally it doesn't take so long. So this first leg was actually, I would say, typical of most of the course, maybe a route of left to right. I think in this case, the left route is marginally shorter, um, but it gives you, you have to do a complete 180 turnaround at one to get towards the second control. I wouldn't say I thought that much. I just saw, oh, I can go around that building in front of me and that'll get me to the control. So that's what I did. So on my way to two, I see that it's the feature is kind of tucked back in behind a building. Um, my eyes aren't great, um, and I couldn't really tell if there was much going on in that little corner, like if the control could be somehow hidden or tucked away. But I figured I would assume that it would be easy enough to see when I got there. If I got there and I didn't see a marker, then I would check the description or take a really close look at the map. Um, it turned out that it was in fact quite easy to see, and I didn't have to check the description. Um, I should say I almost never check descriptions on pretty much on any orienteering course. My my feeling is it's not really usually worth the trouble. I know other people disagree with me, and it's probably not a good practice to not check codes or descriptions, but that's what I do. Running across this field and down a little bit of a hill, no, a little bit different field for part of campus. Noticed that the sort of circular shaped building there is it's not really a solid building. It's a canopy, probably should be mapped as light gray on the map. Um, but maybe that'll be a change for the updated version of the map. I remember that you could see the flag from fairly far away on this, and then it sort of disappeared in the dark shadows and maybe behind a tree, but it was still right there. So, like I said, the feature is a canopy, something you can run right under, but it's mapped as a building. Um, I decided to treat it as a building, treat it as something I couldn't run through. So after I punched here, I turned around and instead of going directly towards number 5, I rounded that little building. This is the part of campus where they have the annual art fair, which we often go to. Mary likes to look at jewelry. I like to eat Indian tacos. It's usually hot, but there's some tents and you can get in the shade, and it's always fun. So the trail here is mowed path through the grass. It's part of the cross country team's um, course. This is up a little bit of climb, not a lot, but enough that it's feeling draining. The feature that I'm going to is, I think it's marked as some kind of man-made object. What it turns out to be is a sign about the Billy Mills cross-country course. So if you don't know, Billy Mills is a Olympic gold medalist. He won the 1964 10,000 meters in the Olympics. Really inspiring and impressive run. He was a student at Haskell. I think it was a high school at the time. Um, and then he went on to the University of Kansas, and then he went into the military. I think he was in the Marines. Um, can't recall exactly. I've heard him speak a couple of times. He's very inspiring and really interesting speaker. He must be close to 90 years old by now. And there you can see the sign for the Billy Mills Trails. It's worth, if you have a chance, go into YouTube and search for Billy Mills Olympics, something like that, and watch the highlights of the race. It's pretty exciting. Uh, I could see the gap between the buildings on the map, but as I was running along this little bit of path, um, I couldn't really see it until the very last minute, and then there it is, turned in, and nice little narrow passageway taking us right to the marker. I looked at the map at number 11, again, my eyes aren't great, and sometimes I struggle a little with detail. I couldn't quite tell if the wall there was going to be crossable or uncrossable. Again, I didn't think it was really worth taking any time to figure that out. Better just to get there and see and make a decision. It turns out it is a low crossable wall. It was easy enough to punch the marker and move on towards 12. On my way to 12, I spotted Gene. Gene both made the map and set the courses. He's out there taking photographs of the orienteers. I was the first starter here, started a little bit early with the idea that I would be then available to help people at the download as necessary. So yeah, it's empty out there, no other runners, but Gene had turned on all the SI punches, so I was able to use the hair punch, and that was nice. There's the flag, then on towards 12. Twelve to 13 is another of the classic simple orienteering, sprint orienteering route choices of left or right. I looked at the map and thought it looked slightly shorter to go right, but I went left, and that's because I could see those fences, the fence that's coming out off of the building, and I realized that it probably didn't make much difference one way or another. Again, I don't know if it's shorter to go to the right. It still might be, but one of those times when it's not much different. I could tell control 14 was either at the top of the stairs or maybe in the corner of the stairs. And I didn't check the description. I think it was top of stairs. I decided when I came around the corner of the building that I would stay on the grass. I think it was probably a little bit better to run straight up those stairs because you can't straight up the stairs that are on the screen right there. I went around and had to edge out a little bit to then go up the stairs. I'm not very strong running upstairs, and I'm pretty cautious running downstairs. I'm beyond the point in my life where I really want to risk falling down a set of stairs. I think though, if I could practice, if I did practice running downstairs, I could probably get a good bit faster than I am. Not sure that's worth the trouble. So I went back down the stairs and looked at this next leg, and the olive green area there is out of bounds. It's the softball field. And the football field is not shown as out of bounds. So I looked pretty carefully to see if there was a way to kind of cut through that and save any time. There really isn't. I also at this point had been running harder than I am trained to do, and took a walking break. In retrospect, I probably should have taken a walking break maybe a couple minutes before, and that would have overall sped me up a little. On the way to control 16, I took one more walking break. It was the conditions, it wasn't super hot. It was fairly humid, and there was a lot of dew on the grass. So immediately the dew does a couple things. your feet get wet, and that's not always the most comfortable, but that's okay. And then I was wearing road running shoes, Saucony ride shoes, um, and they get good. They're okay, but on wet grass they don't really get very good grip. So a few little slips, and when I would put some energy into a step, it would slip back just a little bit. Not a big deal, but one of those little frustrating things when you're running. I should probably get a pair of shoes that would be both comfortable and have a little bit more grip for this kind of event. This arch here at the end of the football stadium is the only place you can get in. I don't know if Gene considered setting a few legs within the football field. That might have been a little bit interesting. Um, well, not actually interesting, like from an orienteering standpoint, but kind of fun to run in the stadium. Then we went on to the final control. One of the things that happened on this course was that about halfway along here, there is a control that's on another course. It's on a statue there. You can see it, it's a little bit right of the straight line. And a number of people, I think they saw the marker and their mindset was I've got one more marker and then I'm done, and they punched at that statue. I never saw that. I'm running a little bit to keep on pavement, better footing, and I'm in the shade there, which is nice in the temperature. And then so I didn't run as directly to the past the statue. In fact, I never saw that there was a marker there, but I know a couple of people punched that. And, we're not finishing the course then because they didn't find the real 17th control. So big thanks to Gene. Gene made the map, set the courses, put out all the markers, and it was a lot of fun. We haven't used this area since maybe mid 1980s. I think we had a black and white map there. It's not super interesting terrain, but it really is nice to have a new map in town. And the setup there was really nice. We had space in the Union that was air conditioned and pleasant and easy to use for the organizers. So all in all, a really good event and a lot of fun. I just need to get a little bit fitter. Well, not a little bit, a lot bit fitter, but felt pretty good.